Captain Jake Morrison walked into the big meeting room on Zerion Prime. The room was huge, with seats for all 12 alien species that made up the Galactic Council. Jake had been coming to these meetings for 5 years now. He always felt proud. To represent humanity, Dr. Lisa Parker sat next to him. She was smart and knew a lot about alien cultures. She had spent years learning their languages and customs. Lisa always said that understanding each other was the key to peace. Commander Ryan Brooks stood by the wall. He was in charge of the human fleet that worked with the Council. Ryan was a good soldier who followed orders. He believed in the Council's mission to keep peace in the galaxy. Ambassador Kethfer walked to the front of the room. He was tall and thin, with blue skin and forearms. His people, the Veltharians, had been the leaders of the Council for over 1,000 years. Kethfer always spoke in a calm, friendly voice. "Welcome, friends," Kethfer said. "Today we have important matters to discuss." Jake smiled. He liked being called a friend. Humans had worked hard for 37 years to earn their place in the Council. They had shared their technology, sent their ships to fight pirates, and helped build colonies on new worlds. General Zach Still entered the room. He was big and covered in thick scales. His people, the Kron, were the Council's main military force. Zach Still never smiled, but Jake thought that was just their way. "Before we begin," Kethfer said, "we must address a serious problem." Jake felt confused. What problem? The last reports showed that everything was going well. Human colonies were growing. Trade was good. The pirate attacks had been getting smaller. Kethfer's voice changed. It became cold and hard. "The problem is humanity." The room went quiet. Jake felt his heart start beating faster. Lisa grabbed his arm. Even Ryan stepped forward from the wall. "What do you mean?" Jake asked. Kethfer pressed a button. A big screen showed pictures of human soldiers in battle. "Look at these images. See how your people fight. See how they destroy their enemies." Jake looked at the screen. The pictures showed human Marines fighting against pirates. But something was wrong. The images made humans look cruel and violent. They had been changed somehow. "These pictures are from our shared missions," Jake said. "We were fighting together." "Against criminals." "No," said Zaxthel. His voice was like rocks grinding together. "These pictures show the truth. Humans are too dangerous. You fight too hard. You never give up. You scare the other species." More pictures appeared on the screen. They showed human factories making weapons. They showed human children playing war games. They showed human history books about old battles. "You see," Kethfer said, "humans only know how to fight and kill. You cannot change. It is in your nature." Lisa stood up. "That's not true. We've been working together for decades. We've helped build hospitals and schools. We've shared our medical knowledge." "Yes," Kethfer said. "And while you helped us, we studied you. We learned about your weapons, your tactics, your way of thinking. We know all your secrets now." Jake felt sick. All those years of friendship and cooperation. All those times they had asked for human help. It had all been a lie. "We have decided," Kethvar continued, "that humanity cannot be allowed to continue. You are too dangerous to exist alongside peaceful species." The other aliens in the room nodded. Jake looked around. He saw beings that he had worked with for years. Species that had eaten dinner with him. People he thought were friends. Now they all looked at him with cold eyes. "This is crazy," Ryan said. "We've never attacked you. We've only helped." "You helped because you wanted to learn our weaknesses," Zaxthel said. "You wanted to know how to defeat us when the time came." "That's not true," Jake shouted. Kethfer smiled, but it was not a nice smile. "It does not matter what you say. The decision is made. Your species will be removed from the galaxy. Jake's communicator started beeping. He looked at it and saw emergency messages from human colonies. His blood turned cold as he read them. Fleet under attack at New Boston Colony. Alien ships firing on civilian targets at Haven Station. Mayday, mayday, we are under attack by Council forces. Jake looked up at Kethver. You're already attacking our colonies. Yes, Kethver said. While you sit here, our combined fleets are destroying your outposts. We know the location of every human settlement. We know your defenses. We know ya. Patrol schedules. You told us everything. Lisa was crying now. We trusted you. We shared everything because we thought you were our friends. Trust is a weakness, Zaxtel said. Your people are too trusting. That is why you will die. More messages came in. Jake read them quickly. Colony after colony was being attacked. Millions of humans were in danger. The Council had used all their shared intelligence to plan a perfect attack. You have 1 hour to surrender, Kethver said. If you do, we will make your deaths quick. Jake looked at Lisa and Ryan. They both nodded. They knew what they had to do. We need to get out of here, Jake whispered. They started walking toward the door, but Kron soldiers blocked their way. The aliens were not going to let them leave. You will stay here, Zaxtel said. You will watch your species die. Jake thought about all the humans on the colonies, families with children, old people, young couples just starting their lives. All of them were under attack because the Council had pretended to be friends. You made a mistake, Jake said quietly. What mistake? Kethver asked. You think humans are dangerous now, Jake said. Wait until you see what we become when you hurt our families. Ryan moved first. He had been a soldier before he became a diplomat. He grabbed a Kron guard's weapon and started fighting. Lisa ran to the emergency controls and locked down the room. Jake activated his emergency beacon. It would send a message to Earth telling them what happened. If they could get out of here, they could warn their people. The fight was short but fierce. Ryan fought like a man with nothing to lose. Jake and Lisa helped however they could. They managed to get to the escape pods, but barely as their pod flew away from Zerion Prime. Jake looked back at the space station. For 37 years, humans had called this place a symbol of friendship and cooperation. Now he knew it was just a trap. What do we do now? Lisa asked. Jake watched the stars. Somewhere out there, human colonies were burning. Somewhere out there, families were dying. The aliens thought they knew humans. They thought they had one. They were wrong. Now we show them what happens when you betray humanity, Jake said. The pod flew into the darkness, carrying 3 humans who had learned the hardest lesson of all. Trust was a gift that should never be given lightly. And when that trust was broken, the price would be higher than anyone could imagine. The war for humanity's survival was about to begin. Admiral Kate Sullivan stood in the command center deep under the Rocky Mountains. Red warning lights flashed all around her. The big screens showed the locations of every human colony in space. Too many of them were going dark. Ma'am, we just lost contact with New Boston, reported Lieutenant Amy Davis. She was young but very smart. Her voice stayed calm, even though her hands shook. How many people were there? Kate asked. 50,000 civilians, ma'am. Kate closed her eyes for a moment. 50,000 people. Families, children, workers who had only wanted to build a new life among the stars. Now they were probably dead because the Council had lied for decades. Dr. Ben Carter ran into the room. He was out of breath, and his lab coat was dirty. Admiral, we got Morrison's message. It's confirmed. The Council planned this attack for years. Kate nodded. She had known this day might come. Humans had always been suspicious of others, but They had wanted to believe in peace. Now that trust was broken forever. Ben, how long until Project Prometheus is ready? We can start in 6 hours, Ben said. But are you sure? Once we use these weapons, there's no going back. Kate looked at the screens again. Another colony had just gone dark. They made the choice, not us. How many years have we been working on this project? 23 years, ma'am. 23 years of preparing for the day when someone would try to destroy us. Today is that day. General Paul Martinez walked up to them. He was old but tough, with scars from the wars on Earth. Admiral, I've got good news and bad news. Bad news first. We've lost 12 colonies. The Council fleets are using our own intelligence against us. They know exactly where to hit and when. Kate felt angry, but she kept her voice steady. And the good news? They don't know about the defense grid. Our secret bases are still hidden. And Colonel Williams has started the evacuation protocols. Colonel Steve Williams was running the evacuation of the outer colonies. But Kate knew. These weren't normal evacuations. Steve was too smart for that. What kind of evacuation? Kate asked. Paul smiled for the first time all day. The kind that leaves surprises for uninvited guests. Across the galaxy, Colonel Williams was indeed leaving surprises. At Haven Station, he watched as the last transport ship lifted off. The station looked empty and helpless. The Council ships would arrive in 2 hours, but Haven Station was not defenseless. Hidden in the asteroid belt nearby, automated defense platforms waited. The station itself was filled with traps and weapons. That would activate when aliens tried to search it. This is going to hurt, Steve said to his team. Major Helen Taylor nodded. She was in charge of the Marines who would stay behind to trigger the traps. Good. Let it hurt. Back on Earth, Amy Davis was studying the alien attack patterns. She had been watching the battles for 8 hours straight. Her eyes were tired, but her mind was sharp. Admiral, I found something, she said. Kate came over to look at Amy's screens. What is it? The alien fleets are having trouble working together. Look at this. Amy pointed to a battle recording. The Veltharian ships move in perfect formation, but the Kron ships charge ahead. They're getting in each other's way. Kate studied the images. Amy was right. The aliens were advanced, but they had never fought a real war together. Each species had its own way of fighting. How can we use this? Kate asked. We make them fight the way they don't want to fight. Quick attacks, small groups, hit and run. They expect us to line up and fight like they do. Kate smiled. You mean we fight like humans? Exactly. Dr. Carter came back with more scientists. They were carrying strange weapons that didn't look like anything the aliens had seen before. These are the psychological warfare devices, Ben explained. They use sound and light patterns that mess with alien brains. Each weapon is designed for a specific species. Kate picked up one of the devices. It was small and looked harmless. How do they work? Aliens have different brain structures than humans. What sounds normal to us can drive them crazy. What looks like normal light to us can make them scared or confused. Have you tested them? We've been testing them for years. Every time aliens visited Earth, we scanned their brain patterns. We know exactly what frequencies hurt them and what colors scare them. Kate felt a cold satisfaction. While humans had been acting like friends, they had also been preparing for war. The aliens had underestimated human paranoia. What about the Genesis Protocol? Kate asked. Ben's face became serious. That's ready too. But Kate, if we use it, we'll be changing entire planets. The ecological damage will be massive. The aliens chose this war, Kate said. They decided to try to kill all humans. Now they get to live with the consequences. Lieutenant Davis looked up from her station. Admiral, We're getting reports from the Titan defense platform. A council fleet is approaching. Kate walked to the main screen. Titan was one of Saturn's moons, but it was also the location of humanity's most secret military base. The aliens probably thought it was just a mining station. How many ships? Kate asked. 57, ma'am. All different species. They're coming in fast. Kate turned to Paul. Are our people ready? They've been ready for 20 years. On the Titan defense platform, Commander Alex Thompson was watching the alien fleet approach. His station looked like a simple mining operation, but it was actually a fortress. Hidden weapons were built into the asteroids around Titan. The platform itself was much stronger than it looked. All stations, this is Thompson. Remember, we let them get close. Make them think we're weak. The alien ships came closer. They moved in a perfect formation, just like Amy had predicted. They thought they were attacking a helpless mining station. Sir, they're sending a surrender demand, reported the communications officer. Ignore it, Thompson said. Let them think. We're too scared to answer. The alien ships got closer. Thompson could see them clearly now. Big Kron battleships, fast Velfarian cruisers, and ships from 6 other species. It was an impressive force. Sir, they're in range. Wait, Thompson sighed. A little closer. The alien admiral probably thought this was going to be easy. Attack a small human station, destroy it quickly, and move on to the next target. The aliens had been doing this all day. They had gotten overconfident. Now, Thompson said, the asteroids around Titan suddenly lit up with weapons fire. The mining station revealed its true nature as a military fortress. Missiles and energy beams filled space. The alien fleet was caught completely off guard. They had expected easy prey, not a fight. Their perfect formation broke apart as ships tried to avoid the sudden attack. Focus on the command ships first, Thompson ordered. The battle was short but decisive. The alien fleet had been designed to attack weak colonies, not to fight a prepared enemy. Within an hour, most of their ships were destroyed or damaged. Back on Earth, Kate watched the battle reports with grim satisfaction. The aliens had won many battles that day, but they had also lost their first major engagement. Ma'am, Amy said, we're getting a transmission from the survivors. Put it on speaker. An alien voice filled the command center. It was speaking in broken English. Human station, we surrender. Please stop firing. Kate picked up the communicator. This is Admiral Sullivan of the Earth Defense Force. You attacked our colonies. You killed our people. You started this war. We were following orders, the alien said. The Council said humans were dangerous. The Council was right, Kate said. We are dangerous, but only to those who threaten us first. She cut the transmission and turned to her staff. How many alien ships escaped? 7, ma'am. They're running back to Council space. Good. Let them report what they saw here. Let them tell the Council that humans are not as helpless as they thought. Dr. Carter came over to Kate. Admiral, should we activate the Genesis protocol? Kate looked at the screens showing the destroyed human colonies. Millions of people were dead because the Council had decided to betray humanity's trust. Not yet, she said, but prepare it. If the aliens want to see how dangerous humans can be, we'll show them. Amy looked up from her station. Admiral, we're getting reports from other defense platforms. The aliens are attacking them too. And they're all reporting the same thing. The alien fleets are breaking apart when they meet real resistance. They don't know how to fight together. Kate nodded. The first day of the war was ending. The aliens had destroyed many human colonies, but they had also shown their weaknesses. Now the real fight could begin. Send a message to all Earth forces, Kate said. Tell them the enemy has shown us their true face. Tell them that humanity will not go quietly into the night. The command center filled with the sound of people working. Earth's military machine was fully activated now. The aliens had wanted to see humanity's dangerous side. They were about to get their wish. Captain Tony Mitchell stood on the bridge of the UE's Vengeance. 6 months had passed since the Council's betrayal. 6 months of preparing for this moment. Today, humanity would strike back. Target acquired, Captain, reported Navigator Lucy. Chun. She was young, but had quickly become one of the best pilots in the fleet. The Valtharian industrial world of Kepler 442b is in range. Tony looked at the planet on the main screen. It was beautiful, with blue oceans and green continents. Millions of aliens lived there, working in factories that made weapons for the Council. Those same weapons had been used to destroy human colonies. Major Taylor, are your Marines ready? Tony asked. Major Helen Taylor stood near the back of the bridge. She was wearing the new powered armor that had been designed specifically for fighting aliens. My people are ready, sir. We've been waiting for this chance. Tony nodded. Helen's Marines had lost friends in the colony attacks. They wanted revenge as much as anyone. Dr. Rodriguez, what's the status of the biological weapons? Tony asked. Dr. Sam Rodriguez looked up from his tablet. He had been a peaceful scientist before the war. Now he created weapons that could kill aliens without hurting humans. All systems are ready, Captain. The agents are designed to target Valtharian immune systems only. Tony felt a moment of doubt. Before the war, using biological weapons would have been unthinkable. But the aliens had broken all the rules first. They had attacked civilian colonies. They had killed children. The time for mercy had passed. Chief Thompson, how are the ship modifications working? Tony asked. Chief Engineer Alex Thompson grinned. Better than expected, sir. We've taken alien technology and made it work for us. But we've also improved it. The aliens are too rigid in their thinking. They can't adapt like we can. Tony looked around the bridge. Every person here had lost someone in the colony attacks. Every person here had been betrayed by beings they thought were friends. Now they were all part of humanity's response. All stations, this is Captain Mitchell. Operation Payback begins now. The U's Vengeance was not alone. Around it, 50 other human ships moved into attack position. This was the largest human fleet ever assembled, and it was about to hit the Council, where it hurt most. The attack began with Lucy's reconnaissance ships. They moved fast and quiet, using technology that the aliens had never seen before. The Council's early warning systems didn't even detect them. Captain, we've located the orbital defense platforms, Lucy reported. 12 stations, all heavily armed. Take them out, Tony ordered. The human ships moved with deadly precision. They didn't fight like the aliens expected. Instead of forming neat battle lines, they spread out and attacked from all directions at once. The Valtharian defenders were confused. They had been trained to fight other aliens, who always followed predictable patterns. Humans fought differently. They were creative, unpredictable, and ruthless. Defense Platform 7 is down, reported the weapons officer. Platform 3 is requesting surrender. No surrender, Tony said coldly. They didn't offer surrender to the families on New Boston Colony. The orbital platforms were destroyed one by one. The aliens inside probably didn't understand why humans were so angry. They had just been following orders. But orders were no excuse for genocide. Captain, the planet's surface defenses are activating, Lucy reported. Tony smiled. Perfect. Doctor. Rodriguez, deploy the biological agents. Sam pressed a button on his tablet. Across the planet, small capsules fell from space. They looked harmless, like pieces of debris. But inside each capsule was a weapon designed to target alien biology. Biological agents deployed, Sam reported. The Veltharians should start feeling the effects in about an hour. Tony knew what those effects would be. The aliens would become sick and weak. They wouldn't die, but they wouldn't be able to fight. Either. It was more merciful than what the Council had done to human colonies. "Major Taylor, your Marines are clear to land," Tony said. Helen saluted. "Thank you, sir. We'll make you proud." The Marine dropships launched from the Vengeance. They moved fast and low, avoiding the weakened surface defenses. Helen's Marines were about to become the first humans to set foot on an alien world as conquerors. As the battle continued, Tony received reports from across the galaxy. This wasn't the only attack happening today. Human fleets were striking at Council targets in 12 different star systems. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from Earth," the communications officer reported. "Put it through." Admiral Sullivan's voice filled the bridge. "Tony, how's the operation going?" "Better than expected, Admiral. The aliens can't adapt to our tactics. They're too used to fighting according to rules." "Good. We've got intelligence that the Council is planning to regroup at the Kron homeworld. Are you ready for the next phase?" Tony looked at the planet. Below, alien cities were going dark as the biological weapons took effect. Soon, Helen's Marines would be walking through those cities as conquerors. "We're ready, Admiral." The aliens wanted to see how dangerous humans could be. "We're showing them." Down on the planet's surface, Major Taylor's Marines were learning what it meant to fight aliens on their home ground. The Veltharians were tall and thin, with 4 arms and blue skin. They were smart and had good technology, but they had never fought anything like humans. Squad 2 moved to the factory complex. Helen ordered over the radio. Squad 3 secure the spaceport. The Marines moved through the alien city like ghosts. Their powered armor made them faster and stronger than any alien. Their weapons were designed to punch through alien defenses, but the most important advantage was their minds. Humans had been fighting wars for thousands of years. They knew how to adapt, how to think quickly, how to win against impossible odds. "Major, we've secured the weapons factory," reported Sergeant Dan Lewis. "The aliens inside are too sick to fight." "Good. Plant the charges and move to the next target." Helen's plan was simple. Destroy the factories that made weapons for the Council. Capture the spaceports so no ships could escape. Show the aliens that nowhere was safe from human revenge. As the day continued, more reports came in. The attack on the Kron mining world had been successful. The assault on the Zephyrian research station had captured valuable intelligence. Human forces were winning everywhere, but the most important victory was psychological. For the first time since the war began, the aliens were afraid. They had thought humans were weak and trusting. Now they knew better. "Captain, we're getting a transmission from the planet," the communications officer reported. "Put it on speaker." A Veltharian voice spoke in broken English. "Human ships, this is Governor Veltar. We surrender. Please stop the attack." Tony thought about the human families who had died in the colony attacks. Children who would never grow up. Parents who would never see their kids again. All because the Council had decided to betray humanity. "Governor, this is Captain Mitchell. You attacked our colonies without warning. You killed our people without mercy. Why should we show you mercy now? We were following orders from the Council. We didn't want to fight humans. But you did fight us. You helped plan the attacks. You built the weapons that killed our families." There was a long pause. Then the governor spoke again. "What do you want?" "I want you to remember this day. I want you to remember what happens when you betray humanity. I want you to tell the other Council species that humans are not as helpless as they thought." Tony cut the transmission. The planet below was defeated. The factories were destroyed. The spaceports were under human control. The Veltharians would remember this day for the rest of their lives. Major Taylor, how are things on the surface? Tony asked. Helen's voice came through the radio. All objectives secured, Captain. The aliens are cooperating. They're too scared to fight. Any casualties? None, sir. The biological weapons worked perfectly. The aliens couldn't resist our assault. Tony nodded. The attack had been a complete success. But this was just the beginning. The Council had started this war by betraying humanity's trust. Now they would learn that humans were much more dangerous than they had imagined. All ships, this is Captain Mitchell. Operation Payback is complete. Prepare for jump to the next target. The human fleet began to move away from the defeated planet. Behind them, alien cities lay in ruins. Millions of Eltharians now knew that. Humans were not the weak, trusting species they had appeared to be. As the ships jumped to hyperspace, Tony looked at the stars. Somewhere out there, the Council was probably meeting to discuss what had happened. They would be scared and confused. They had thought they were destroying a weak enemy. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant. Sir, where are we going next? Lucy asked. Tony smiled. It was not a nice smile. The Kron homeworld. It's time they learned what happened to the people who betrayed humanity. The war was far from over. But today, humanity had shown that they were not victims. They were hunters. And the hunt had just begun. Fleet Admiral John Harrison stood in the command center of the UES Retribution. 2 years had passed since the Council's betrayal. 2 years of war that had changed everything in the galaxy. Admiral, we've reached the outer edge of the Zerion. System, reported Captain Dan Lewis. His ship was the first human dreadnought, built from captured alien technology, but improved by human engineering. John looked at the tactical display. The Zerion system was the heart of the former Council's power. For over 1,000 years, alien species had come here to discuss peace and cooperation. Now it would become the site of their final defeat. Dr. White, what's the status of the psychological warfare campaign? John asked. Dr. Carol White looked up from her station. She had been working on breaking alien morale for months. The propaganda broadcasts are working better than expected, Admiral. 3 Council species have already surrendered rather than face our forces. John nodded. The aliens had rigid minds. They couldn't handle the kind of psychological pressure that humans could create. Fear was a powerful weapon, and humans had learned to use it well. General Johnson, are the ground forces ready for the final assault? John asked. General Mike Johnson was in charge of the troops that would take Zerion Prime. He was a tough man who had been fighting aliens for 2 years. My people are ready, Admiral. We've been planning this assault for months. John walked to the main viewing screen. He could see Zerion Prime in the distance, a beautiful world covered in gleaming cities. Once, humans had come here as friends. Now they came as conquerors. Agent Kim, what's the situation with the alien resistance movements? John asked. Agent Sarah Kim was his best intelligence officer. She had been working behind enemy lines for months, convincing younger alien species to join the human cause. Many of the client species are ready to switch sides, Admiral. They're tired of being controlled by the Council. John smiled. The Council had ruled through fear and deception for too long. Now that humans had shown there was another way, many aliens were ready to change sides. All fleet commanders, this is Admiral Harrison. Operation Final Justice begins now. The human fleet moved forward. It was huge, with over 300 ships. Each ship had been built or modified, with lessons learned from 2 years of fighting. The aliens had never seen anything like it. The battle for Zerion Prime began with a surprise that the Council had never expected. Instead of attacking directly, the humans waited. They surrounded the planet and sent a message to every alien on the surface. People of Zerion Prime, John's voice echoed across the planet. This is Admiral Harrison of the Terran Republic. Your leaders betrayed humanity and started this war. But you don't have to die for their mistakes. The message was broadcast in every alien language. Humans had learned to speak to all the different species in the galaxy. They had become much better at communication than the Council had ever been. Any alien who surrenders will be treated fairly. Any alien who fights will be destroyed. You have 1 hour to decide. On the planet's surface, chaos erupted. Many aliens had been told that humans were monsters who would kill everyone. But the message sounded reasonable. It gave them hope. Ambassador Kethvar, who had betrayed humanity 2 years ago, was in his office when the message came. He looked older now, with lines of worry on his blue face. The war had not gone as planned. "Sir," his aide said, "what should we do?" Kethvar looked out his window at the human fleet. It was massive and threatening. But more than that, it was organized. The humans had learned to fight as a unified force. "Contact General Zaxthil," Kethvar said. "Tell him we need to activate the final defenses." But when the aide tried to contact the Kron general, there was no answer. Zaxthil's homeworld had been destroyed a month ago. The Kron military was scattered and broken. "Sir, I can't reach the general," the aide said. Kethvar felt a cold fear. In his chest, the council was falling apart. Species that had worked together for centuries were now fighting each other. Some were trying to make peace with humans. Others were fighting to the end. "Get me the defense commanders," Kethvar ordered. But many of the defense commanders were no longer responding. Agent Kim's intelligence network had been working for months. Key alien leaders had been convinced to surrender or had simply disappeared. On the human flagship, John watched the planet's defenses trying to organize. But it was too late. The psychological warfare had worked. The aliens were confused and divided. "Admiral, we're detecting massive power fluctuations in the planetary defense grid," reported the sensor officer. "What kind of fluctuations?" "It looks like someone is sabotaging the system from the inside." John smiled. Sarah's agents had been busy. While the Council had been trying to hold their empire together, humans had been turning their own people against them. "General Johnson, the defenses are weakening. Are you ready to land?" Mike's voice came through the communicator. "Ready and waiting, Admiral. My troops are eager to set foot on Zerion Prime. Begin the landing. But remember, we want to capture the Council leaders alive. They have information we need." The landing began with a massive assault. But it wasn't the kind of assault the aliens expected. Instead of trying to destroy everything, the humans moved carefully. They wanted to capture the planet intact. Mike's troops moved through the alien cities like they had done this 100 times before. They had learned to fight in urban environments, how to clear buildings, how to deal with alien civilians. "Squad 7, secure the government district," Mike ordered over the radio. "Squad 12, move to the communications center." The human soldiers wore armor that had been designed specifically for fighting aliens. They moved faster and hit harder than any alien force. But more than that, they worked together perfectly. "General, we've reached the council chambers," reported Colonel Lisa Martinez. "The building is heavily defended." "How heavily?" "About 200 alien guards. Mixed species. They look scared but determined." Mike thought for a moment. The council chambers were where humanity's betrayal had begun. It was only fitting that the war should end there. Use the sonic weapons first, then move in when they're disoriented. The sonic weapons were Dr. White's invention. They created sounds that drove aliens crazy but didn't hurt humans. It was psychological warfare at its most effective. The weapons activated with a low hum. On the alien guards, the effect was immediate. They dropped their weapons and fell to their knees, holding their heads in pain. "Move in now," Mike ordered. The human soldiers rushed into the council chambers. They moved quickly and efficiently, securing the building room by room. The aliens inside were too confused to fight back effectively. "General, we've found them," Colonel Martinez reported. "The council leaders are in the main chamber." Mike walked into the chamber where humanity's representatives had once sat as friends. Now it was filled with alien leaders who looked terrified and defeated. Ambassador Kethfar stood in the center of the room. He looked at Mike with his forearms raised in surrender. "Please," he said in broken English, "we surrender. Don't kill." "You?" Mike looked around the room. These were the beings who had planned humanity's destruction. They had pretended to be friends while planning genocide. Now they were begging for mercy. "You should have thought about mercy before you betrayed." "U.S.," Mike said. "We were afraid," Kethfar said. "Humans are too." President Emma Foster stood at the window of her office on Earth. 5 years had passed since the Council's betrayal. 5 years since the war that changed everything. Now she looked out at a world that had become the center of a galactic empire. "Madam President, the Galactic Senate is ready for your address," said her aide, a young man named Robert Chun. Emma nodded. The Galactic Senate was very different from the old Council. Instead of 12 equal species, it had one dominant species, and many smaller ones who served under human leadership. She walked down the hallway toward the Senate chamber. The walls were covered with pictures from the war, images of destroyed alien fleets, conquered worlds, and human victories. It was important that everyone remembered how this new order had been created. Admiral Jake Morrison was waiting for her outside the chamber. He looked much older now, with gray hair and deep lines around his eyes. The war had changed him from a trusting diplomat into a hard military commander. "Hello, Jake," Emma said. "How are the outer territories?" "Quiet, Madam President. The alien populations have accepted human rule. There haven't been any major uprisings in over a year." Emma was glad to hear that. The transition to human control had been difficult at first. Some alien species had tried to resist. They had learned quickly that resistance was futile. "What about the integration programs?" Emma asked. "Dr. Parker's programs are working well. The younger aliens are adapting to human culture. Some of them seem to prefer it to their old ways." Dr. Lisa Parker had survived the war and now ran the programs that helped aliens adjust to human rule. She had learned that trust was something that had to be earned, not given freely. Emma and Jake entered the Senate chamber together. It was a large room with seats for representatives from 43 different species. But the human seats were in the center, raised above the others. There was no question about who was in charge. "Members of the Galactic Senate," Emma began. "Today marks the 5th anniversary of the end of the Council War." The alien representatives listened carefully. They had learned that when humans spoke, everyone else listened. Those who didn't listen sometimes disappeared. 5 years ago, your leaders made a terrible mistake. They betrayed humanity's trust. They attacked our colonies. They tried to destroy our species." Emma looked around the room. She could see fear in many alien eyes. Good. Fear was a useful tool for keeping order, but humanity survived. "We adapted. We fought back, and we won." She pressed a button and screens around the room lit up with statistics. Industrial production, military strength, population growth. All the numbers showed human dominance. Today, the galaxy is more peaceful than it has been in centuries. Trade is up. Crime is down. Wars between species have ended. This is what human leadership has accomplished. An alien representative raised his hand. It was Ambassador Telvok, a Zephyrian who had been one of the few council members to survive the war. "Yes, Ambassador," Emma said. "Madam President, what about the species that have disappeared?" Emma's expression didn't change. She had expected this question. 4 species chose to fight humanity to the end. They refused all offers of surrender. They forced us to take extreme measures. The room was very quiet. Everyone knew what extreme measures meant. When the Thrakari had refused to surrender, humans had used the Genesis Protocol on their homeworld. The planet still existed, but no Thrakari lived on it anymore. Their fate serves as a reminder, Emma continued. Cooperation with humanity brings prosperity. Resistance brings extinction. Chancellor Mark Thompson stood up from his seat. He was in charge of the day-to-day administration of the galactic government. Madam President, perhaps we should discuss the expansion programs? Emma nodded. An excellent idea, Chancellor. The screens changed to show star maps. Red areas showed human-controlled space. It covered most of the galaxy now. Blue areas showed regions that were still being integrated. Humanity continues to grow and expand, Emma said. We are establishing new colonies on uninhabited worlds. We are building trade routes that benefit all species. We are creating a galaxy where every being knows their place. Captain Julie Anderson entered the chamber. She commanded the peacekeeping corps, the human military force that maintained order across the galaxy. Her troops were respected and feared in equal measure. Captain Anderson, please give us your security report, Emma said. Julie stepped forward. Madam President, galactic security remains stable. We have had only minor incidents in the past month. 3 attempted smuggling operations, and 1 small protest on the former Velfarian world of Kepler 442b. How were these incidents resolved? The smugglers have been sent to labor camps. The protesters have been relocated to educational facilities. Emma nodded. The educational facilities were where aliens learned to accept human rule. Most aliens who went there came out as loyal subjects of the human empire. Are there any questions from the Senate? Emma asked. A Velfarian representative stood up. Madam President, some of my people are asking about the possibility of increased autonomy in the future. Emma looked at the alien for a long moment. Autonomy is earned through loyalty and service. Your people tried to destroy humanity. They will need to prove their dedication for many generations before such privileges are considered. The Velfarian sat down quickly. He had gotten his answer. Any other questions? Emma asked. No one else spoke. The aliens had learned that asking too many questions could be dangerous. Very well. This session is adjourned. As the aliens filed out of the chamber, Emma walked with Jake to a private meeting room. The walls here were covered with images from before the war. Pictures of humans and aliens working together, sharing technology, exploring space as partners. Do you ever miss those days? Jake asked. Emma looked at a picture of herself shaking hands with Ambassador Kethfer. It had been taken during a trade negotiation, back when humans still believed in alien friendship. Sometimes, she said. But then I remember what happened to the colonies. I remember the families who died because we trusted too much. Jake nodded. Kethfer is still alive, you know. He's working in the archives, cataloging alien cultural records. Good. It's important that he lives with what he did. Death would be too easy for him. They walked to another window that looked out over the city. In the distance, they could see alien workers building new structures under human supervision. The aliens worked efficiently and without complaint. They had learned their place in the new order. Jake, do you think we're the villains in this story? Emma asked. Jake thought for a moment. History is written by the winners, Emma. In 1,000 years, children will learn that humanity brought peace and order to the galaxy. They won't learn about the species that were destroyed. They won't learn about the colonies that resisted and were punished. And if they do learn about those things, they'll learn that resistance to human authority is futile. They'll learn That betraying humanity has consequences that last for generations. Emma walked to her desk and picked up a datapad. It contained reports from across the galaxy. Production quotas being met. Construction projects ahead of schedule. Crime rates at historic lows. The system works, Jake. The galaxy is more stable now than it ever was under the Council. Yes, it is. But stability built on fear isn't the same as stability built on trust. Emma looked at him sharply. Trust is what got us into this situation in the first place. We trusted the Council, and they tried to destroy us. We won't make that mistake again, Jake nodded. You're right, of course. But sometimes I wonder what would have happened if we had found another way. There was no other way, Emma said firmly. The Council made their choice when they betrayed us. Everything that happened after that was their fault, not ours. Later that day, Emma visited the memorial garden in the center of the city. It was dedicated to the human colonies that had been destroyed in the war's first attacks. Millions of names were carved into black stone walls. As she walked among the memorial walls, she thought about the children whose names were listed there. Children who had died because aliens they trusted had decided to betray humanity. At the center of the garden was a larger monument. It showed a human family looking up at the stars. The inscription read, "They dreamed of friendship among the stars. They found betrayal and death. We ensure their sacrifice was not in vain." Emma stood in front of the monument for a long time. Sometimes she wondered if there could have been another way. But then she remembered the videos from the colony. Attacks. She remembered the reports of families hiding in bunkers while alien ships destroyed everything around them. No, she said quietly to herself. There was no other way. As the sun set over Earth, Emma returned to her office. There were reports to read, decisions to make, and a galaxy to govern. The human empire was strong and growing stronger every day. But in the outer regions of the galaxy, on worlds that had once been proud and independent, alien children were learning new lessons in their schools. They learned about human history, human culture, and human superiority. They learned that their ancestors had made a terrible mistake by betraying humanity. Most importantly, they learned that such a mistake would never be allowed to happen again. Galaxy had a new order now. It was an order built on human strength and alien submission. It was an order that would last for generations to come. And